What if these 4 vegetables kill cancer cells? What if I told you that sitting inside your grocery store right now, probably in the produce aisle you walk past every single week without giving it a second thought, there are 4 vegetables so powerful, so scientifically proven that they can literally change the way your body fights disease at the cellular level? And I'm not talking about some obscure wellness claim or internet trend. I'm talking about cancer, diabetes, heart disease, chronic inflammation. The exact conditions that are quietly, silently killing millions of seniors every year in this country. I'm Dr. James Harrove, board-certified in internal medicine with 30 years of practice. And in those 3 decades, I have watched too many patients spend thousands of dollars on supplements, on experimental treatments, on prescription after prescription, when 4 of the most powerful healing tools on this planet cost less than $2 a pound at the local grocery store. Today, I'm going to share with you the top 4 vegetables that peer-reviewed published research says are among the most potent natural allies your body has in the fight against cancer and chronic disease after 60. Not my opinion, not trendy wellness advice, actual published science from Johns Hopkins, from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, from the World Health Organization, from Queen Mary University of London, and from universities in Japan and the United States. And I promise you, by the Dr. James Hargrove intro time we get to number 1, you are going to be shocked. So stay with me all the way through. Number 2 involves a leafy green that literally interrupts cancer cells from copying their DNA. And number 1 is a vegetable that drops systolic blood pressure by 8 points in clinical trials, as well as any prescription medication could. This information could genuinely change your life or the life of someone you love. Before I start, drop a comment below right now. Tell me your age and tell me your favorite vegetable on this list. I read every comment on this channel personally. Your answers shape what I cover next for this community. Let's begin. Let me explain something important first because understanding this makes everything that follows much more powerful. Cancer and most chronic diseases after 60 don't just appear overnight. They develop slowly, quietly over years, sometimes decades, as the result of a process called oxidative stress combined with chronic inflammation. Think of oxidative stress like rust slowly forming inside your body. Every single day, your cells are under attack. Oxidative stress and cancer development from what we call free radicals. Unstable molecules that get created by processed food, pollution, stress, and even the normal metabolic processes of just being alive. When those free radicals start to outnumber your body's defenses, they damage your DNA, they disrupt normal cell signaling, they weaken the membranes around your cells. And when enough DNA damage accumulates in the wrong cells, that's when cancer can begin to take hold. Now here is the critical question. What stops that process? What gives your immune system and your cellular defenses the ammunition they need to fight back and protect your healthy cells from becoming cancerous cells? The answer time and time again comes back to one place. It comes back to what you eat. And these 4 vegetables are at the very top of that list. Let's start with number 4. And I know some of you are going to roll your eyes the second I say this because you have heard it 1,000 times before from 1,000 different doctors. Number 4 is broccoli. But for broccoli, cruciferous power before you tune me out, I want you to hear this because what most people do not understand is exactly why broccoli is almost frighteningly powerful. Broccoli belongs to a family of plants called cruciferous vegetables. Inside broccoli, there is a compound called sulforaphane. When you chew raw broccoli or lightly steam it, an enzyme in the vegetable called myoinase converts a precursor compound into active sulforaphane. And that is where the real magic happens. A landmark study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that sulforaphane can actually target and destroy cancer stem cells. Now, I need you to understand what cancer stem cells are because this is critical. Cancer stem cells are the particularly dangerous cells that are resistant to conventional chemotherapy. They are the cells responsible for cancer coming back after treatments seem to work. Oncologists have been trying to find compounds that target these stem cells for decades because conventional chemotherapy kills the bulk of a tumor, but often leaves these stem cells intact, which is why so many cancers recur. The PNAS study showed that sulforaphane reduced the number of breast cancer stem cells by up to 65%. 65% reduction in cancer stem cells, PNAS. Let me say that again, up to 65% from a compound in broccoli. And this was not an isolated finding. Research from Johns Hopkins University, which is where sulforaphane was first discovered in the 1990s, has consistently shown that this compound activates what are called phase 2 detoxification enzymes in the liver. These are the enzymes that help your body neutralize carcinogens and flush them out of your system before they can damage your DNA. Sulforaphane has also been shown to cross the blood-brain barrier and exert antioxidant effects inside the brain, which is why some researchers are now studying it for cognitive decline and Alzheimer's prevention as well. One practical tip I give every single patient who comes through my office: do not boil broccoli to mush. High heat destroys maize, which means you lose most of the sulforaphane you would have otherwise absorbed. Lightly steam it for 3 to 4 minutes, just until it turns bright green and still has a slight crunch. Or better yet, eat some of it raw. And here is a pro tip most people have never heard. Sprinkle a tiny bit of mustard seed powder on your steamed broccoli. Mustard seed contains its own myoinase, and it dramatically increases sulforaphane absorption up to 4 times higher in some studies. A small habit, an enormous impact on your cellular health over years. I had a patient named Harold. 71 Harold's story, clean 2-year colonoscopy years old, former construction foreman, came to me after a polyp was found during a routine colonoscopy. He was terrified. His father had died of colon cancer at 64. Harold started eating a cup of lightly steamed broccoli with mustard powder 5 days a week. Within 6 months, his inflammatory markers dropped dramatically. At his 2-year follow-up colonoscopy, nothing. Clean. His gastroenterologist specifically commented that his recovery and inflammation reduction were exceptional. Harold told me broccoli felt like medicine. He was right. Biochemically, it literally is. Now, let's move to number 3. And this is where I want you to lean in because this vegetable has one of the most compelling cancer-fighting stories in all of nutritional 3 garlic. The allicin 10-minute rule science. I'm talking about garlic. And I know what some of you are thinking. Garlic is not really a vegetable, but botanically and nutritionally, it absolutely is. And it deserves its place on this list more than almost any other food in the grocery store. Garlic contains a compound called allicin, which is released when you crush or chop a raw garlic clove and allow it to sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. That 10-minute waiting period is critically important, and I'll explain exactly why in just a moment. The World Health Organization's dietary guidelines for health actually recommend a daily intake of 2 to 5 g of fresh garlic. That is roughly 1 clove per day, and they recommend it specifically for its protective effects against cancer and cardiovascular disease. This is not a wellness blog recommendation. This is the World Health Organization. A major analysis published in the journal Cancer Prevention Research looked at over 27 independent studies and found that people with the highest garlic consumption had a significantly reduced risk of colorectal cancer compared to those with the lowest consumption. Another study from the National Cancer Institute found strong associations between garlic consumption and reduced risk of stomach, esophageal, pancreatic, and breast cancers, multiple cancers, one simple daily food. Here is the biological science behind how this works. Allicin and its derivative compounds, including aine and dialsulfide, have been shown in lab and population studies to induce something called apoptosis in cancer cells. Apoptosis is essentially programmed cell death. It is how your body naturally eliminates damaged or abnormal cells before they become cancerous. Cancer cells, by their very nature, have found ways to bypass apoptosis. They refuse to die. They keep multiplying when they should have been cleared out. Compounds in garlic essentially override that bypass. They force those cancer cells back into a self-destruction sequence. Think of it like resetting a malfunctioning process that your body was supposed to do on its own, but stopped doing because the cells found a workaround. Now, about that 10-minute rule. When you crush garlic and expose it to air, the enzyme alienase converts alliin into allicin. That conversion takes a few minutes. If you throw garlic straight into a hot pan without letting it rest for 10 minutes, the heat destroys that enzyme before it can finish the conversion, and you lose a significant portion of the beneficial compounds. Crushed garlic at room temperature for 10 minutes before cooking. That one habit can dramatically increase the nutritional value you are actually getting from every single meal with garlic in it. And garlic does not stop at cancer prevention. Studies have also shown it reduces LDL cholesterol, lowers blood pressure, improves cardiovascular function, and has powerful antimicrobial properties that help your immune system fight off infections and even some resistant bacteria. This is truly one of nature's most versatile medicines. And if you are still here with me and finding this helpful, type the word garlic in the comments below. It tells the algorithm this video matters and it helps more seniors find this information. 2. Spinach. Interrupts cancer DNA replication. We are at number 2 now. And this vegetable is one I personally call the silent protector because it works quietly deep inside your cells in ways that most people never think about or hear from their doctors. I'm talking about spinach. Now, spinach is so rich in nutrients that it is almost difficult to know where to start. It contains folate, which is essential for DNA synthesis and repair. Without adequate folate, your cells cannot properly repair the small DNA errors that occur naturally during cell division. And those unrepaired errors can eventually become cancerous. Spinach is loaded with carotenoids, particularly lutein, zeaxanthin, and beta-carotin. These are powerful antioxidants that mop up those free radicals we talked about at the beginning of this video. But what really sets spinach apart in the conversation about cancer and disease is its exceptionally high concentration of two compounds, called MGDG and SQDG. Those are monogalactyl diacylglycerol and sulfinosyl diacylglycerol. I know those are long chemistry names that sound intimidating. Here is what you need to know about them. Researchers at Osaka Prefecture University in Japan found that these compounds in spinach inhibit an enzyme called DNA polymerase alpha, and DNA polymerase alpha is the exact enzyme that cancer cells rely on to replicate their DNA and divide. In other words, the compounds in spinach literally interrupt the cancer cell's ability to copy itself and multiply. Every cancer cell that cannot divide is a cancer cell that cannot grow into a tumor. This is a fundamentally different mechanism from most anti-cancer foods, which work by providing antioxidants or supporting the immune system. Spinach compounds directly block tumor replication at the molecular level. Beyond cancer, spinach is remarkably protective of your cardiovascular system. A major study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that people who ate spinach and other leafy greens daily had a significantly lower risk of heart disease, largely because of the high natural nitrate content in spinach, which improves blood vessel flexibility and lowers blood pressure. Spinach also contains camphorol, a flavonoid that a large study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found to be associated with a 40% reduction in 40% lower ovarian cancer risk. Camphorol, the risk of ovarian cancer in women who consumed it regularly. 40%. From a dot leafy green that costs almost nothing at the grocery store and that you can buy by the bag. And here is something most people do not know. Cooking spinach actually increases the bioavailability of certain nutrients, like beta-carotin and iron, while eating it raw maximizes the folate content. So ideally, you want to eat spinach in both forms regularly throughout the week. Mix raw baby spinach into a salad. Sauté mature spinach lightly in olive oil for 3 or 4 minutes. Add it to scrambled eggs. Blend it into a fruit smoothie where you cannot even taste it. Put it in soups and stews in the last 5 minutes of cooking. The options are endless, the cost is minimal, and the benefits are tremendous. I had a patient named Eleanor's story. 6-week transformation Eleanor, 74 years old, recently widowed. Her daughter brought her in because Eleanor had stopped eating well, had lost about 15 lbs, and was complaining of fatigue, brain fog, and weakness. Her lab work showed low folate, low iron, and elevated inflammation markers. We did not put her on a single medication that day. We worked with her on simple nutrition. 2 handfuls of fresh spinach every day in different forms, kale and 1 beets. The most powerful anti-cancer vegetable beets a few times a week, a multivitamin to bridge the gap. Within 6 weeks, her inflammation markers had normalized, her energy was back, her color was better. Her daughter told me Eleanor felt like herself again for the first time in over a year. Food is medicine. I have watched it happen in my clinic hundreds of times. And now we have arrived at number 1. The vegetable that, in my professional opinion, after 30 years of clinical practice and backed by a growing and extraordinary body of scientific research, is the single most powerful cancer-fighting disease-healing vegetable you can eat after 60. And that vegetable is beets. I can see some of you weren't expecting that. Beets. Those deep dark red root vegetables that most people either love or avoid completely. I completely understand if beets have not been a regular part of your diet. Many Americans only ever had them from a can as a kid and decided they hated them. But after you hear what I am about to tell you, I think that may change. Beets get their extraordinary dark red color from a class of pigments called betalains, specifically betanins and beta-anthins. These are not just beautiful pigments. They are among the most powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds found anywhere in the plant kingdom. A study published in the journal Molecules found that betaines, the primary pigments in red beets, inhibit tumor cell growth in human colon, stomach, lung, and breast cancer cell lines. 4 different cancer cell types from one vegetable. Another study, published in the European Journal of Queen Mary Study, 8-point BP drop from beet juice nutrition found that beet juice extract suppressed the growth of prostate and breast cancer cells by over 50% in laboratory conditions. Now, laboratory conditions are different from a living human body, and I want to be transparent about that distinction so you understand the strength of the evidence. But combined with population studies in people who consume high levels of beets regularly and the extraordinary mechanistic evidence we have, the picture is very compelling. Here is what else beets do that most people are completely unaware of. Beets are exceptionally high in natural dietary nitrates. Not the synthetic nitrates found in processed meats like hot dogs and bacon, which are a completely different compound and carry their own health concerns. Natural dietary nitrates from vegetables. In your body, those natural nitrates are converted into nitric oxide by bacteria in your mouth and by enzymes in your bloodstream. Nitric oxide is a molecule that does something remarkable. It relaxes and dilates your blood vessels. It dramatically improves circulation. It lowers blood pressure. A landmark study from Queen Mary University of London found that drinking just 1 cup of beet juice per day lowered blood pressure in hypertensive patients by an average of 8 points, systolic over 4 weeks. That reduction is comparable to what you would get from some prescription blood pressure medications without the side effects, without the cost, without the pharmaceutical risk profile. This improved circulation also means more oxygen, more immune cells, and more nutrients being delivered to every single tissue in your body, including tissues that need to fight off abnormal cell growth. Beets are also one of the richest dietary sources of betaine, a compound that helps protect your cells from environmental stress. And betaine plays a critical role in a process called methylation. Methylation is essentially how your body turns genes on and off at the right times. Proper methylation is profoundly important in cancer prevention because one of the hallmarks of cancer development is abnormal methylation patterns that silence your body's own tumor suppressor genes. Your tumor suppressor genes are supposed to catch cancer early and shut it down. When methylation goes wrong, those genes get silenced and cancer slips through. Betaine from beets helps support healthy methylation and keep those protective genes active. And beyond all of that, beets are high in fiber, folate, manganese, vitamin C, and betaine and tumor suppressor gene protection potassium. Nutrients that collectively support your immune system, your digestive health, your cardiovascular system, and your body's ability to detoxify. You can roast them with olive oil and sea salt at 400 degrees for 45 minutes. You can juice them raw. You can slice them raw into a salad. You can blend them into a berry smoothie where the sweetness balances the earthy flavor. If you have been avoiding beets because of the earthy taste, try roasting them. Roasting brings out the natural sugars and gives them a sweet, almost candy-like flavor that most people are surprised to enjoy. So, Let's bring this all together because I want you to leave today with something actionable that you can actually do this week. Number 4, broccoli with its sulforaphane that destroys cancer stem cells and activates your liver's detoxification enzymes. Eat it lightly, steamed or raw. Use the mustard powder trick to maximize absorption. Number 3, garlic with its allicinin and sulfur compounds that induce apoptosis in cancer cells, protect your heart, and fortify your immune system. Crush it. Let it sit 10 minutes, then cook. 1 clove per day is your target. Number 2, spinach. A nutritional powerhouse containing compounds that interrupt cancer cell replication, protect your cardiovascular system, and deliver an extraordinary array of antioxidants and folate that your DNA literally needs to stay healthy. 2 handfuls per day mixed raw and cooked. And number 1, beets with their extraordinary betalain pigments, their blood pressure, lowering nitrates, and their betaine compounds that support the very genetic machinery your body uses to suppress cancer. 1 small beet a few times per week or a cup of beet juice daily. Now, here is my honest medical perspective on all of this. These 4 vegetables are not a replacement for proper medical care. If you have been diagnosed with cancer or any serious chronic disease, please continue to work with your physician and your oncology team. Nothing on this list replaces evidence-based medical treatment. What I am telling you is that the research evidence is overwhelming. Diet is one of the most powerful modifiable risk factors we have for cancer and chronic disease after 60. The American Cancer Society itself estimates that roughly 18% of all cancers in the 18% of U.S. cancers are diet preventable. United States are related to poor diet and physical inactivity. That means those cancers are preventable. What you put on your plate every single day is not a trivial decision. It is medicine. It is information that you are sending to your cells, to your DNA, and to your immune system. And the research tells us clearly that these 4 vegetables, broccoli, garlic, spinach, and beets, belong in your diet as consistently and as abundantly as possible, especially after the age of 60. I want you to start this week, not next month, not when things settle down, not after the holidays or after your next doctor's action plan. Start this week appointment. This week, pick one of these 4 vegetables and add it to your daily meals starting tomorrow. See how you feel. Build the habit. Then add a second, then a third. Your body has an extraordinary capacity to heal and protect itself when you give it the right tools. I have seen patients in their 70s and 80s reverse inflammation markers, lower their blood pressure, regain their energy, and in some cases improve their cancer biomarkers in ways their own physicians said were impossible, all by making small, consistent daily changes to what they put on their plate. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Which of these 4 vegetables do you eat regularly right now? Which one are you going to add starting this week? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single comment on this channel, and I reply personally today. If this video helped you, please share it with someone you love, a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a friend who is over 60 and could genuinely use this information. The person who most needs to see this probably will not search for it on their own. You might be the reason they find it. Your body is not falling apart. It is waiting for the right inputs. Now you know what 4 of the most powerful inputs on the entire planet are. Stay curious, stay well, and I'll see you in the next.